Right, we've arrived. We are live and streaming, which is always nice. After a very long week, it's really cool to be back. Hello and welcome in if you are already in chat. Everyone hopefully will come along and join in a bit. Hopefully everyone who is in chat is well. We are currently in-game and going to knock out a couple of just random casual games because I'm playing some Frontline to soothe my brain while people get settled. Later on we'll be talking balance patch because, well, it's kind of the casual Frontline. It's kind of the thing. It's balance patch time. And I said I would put my opinions on stream, so I shall. But for the moment, we will hang out for a bit while people arrive in. If you are hopping in on chat, say hi. I will be excited to see people when they arrive. Meanwhile, what do we got? We have Britain. This is a very, very Frontline deck. There's also a terrible, terrible hand. Didn't get a lot better, not going to lie. Greyhound's fine. Not my preferred turn 1 drop, but we'll take it. Okay, so we're going to almost certainly Brit US. Flavour of ramp, fine. Create frontline presence, because that's what this deck does. So I suppose if anyone's hanging around / when people watch this back, it's an illustration, I suppose, of what frontline is, and will hopefully be a bit more, but we'll talk about that again with balance patch, because it is relevant to the discussion. I think there might be a lot more room for frontline than there has been recently. It's not been massively effective of late in comparison to some of the nonsense that has been out there. Oh look, it's the Glamour Boys. That's fine, we're just going to make it really expensive. I don't like that. You want it, you can pay for it twice. Or indeed many more times than twice. Ba-da-da. Ba-da-da. This is me staring at my own audio. Right. Sure. Just turn it off. If in doubt, turn off the annoying thing. Suppress. Another mechanic I'll be talking about, because I think it's going to be relevant with balanced changes. It's Kitty Hawk. It's going to blow up a tank. That's fine. I mean, I'll give you that in fairness. Yes, that's there's plenty of room for trading. That's just keep plugging away, do some damage, and see where we get to. Have I? Have I? Okay. Works for me. Pounce Grenadiers, because then I can do this, which means I can then do this, which is fine. Put some weight in the front line, build a big unit, get it into the front line, hold the front line, see what happens. We like our... there's the production order. It's taken a long time for it to arrive where you wanted it to, I would imagine. Fully understand that you're going to have wanted it to have arrived. I want this because I want the opportunity to turn some stuff off. Is there any value right now? 1 point of damage isn't going to help me, so we'll wait. Heavy armor's a thing. We need to see if something survives long enough to get off Blitzkrieg. Probably not. supply shortage. Righty-ho. This is very typical of the current decks. Not, like, it's casual game. I suppose someone might be learning it. I do sometimes wonder about some of the stronger meta decks and their sudden appearance on casual. Right, that's one less thing to deal with. Hey Redson, nice to see you too, and hopefully I will. Hopefully you're keeping well. That was really cool to be part of your stream earlier in the week too. That whole streamer tribe thing. There's nothing I can do. Sure. We are continuing to build an enormous pile of resources because we probably have Commonwealth by now. I'm assuming Commonwealth is going to be in this deck, because if it isn't, I don't quite understand what the deck's doing. We, on the other hand, need help, and are not massively getting it. This is, I'm not going to lie, this is probably not going to be a win. But we'll see. Endurance matches against Britain are generally not wins. Frontline's solid, but it's not, unless you have a huge amount of life gain or can tear through the guard, you're generally not going to have a good time, unless your opponent makes a mistake, which we can hope, but we're going to see a lot of supply shortage, which is fine. Sure. So, do we just? I think we do. So I'm going to push this. We're going to push this. We're going to buff this because that lets us start to chisel away at this. And come forward. And then, since you're not injured, we'll fully repair all units. Give ourselves a little bit more time. Don't often use this. It's honestly 1 damage, usually good against lots and lots of... What an utterly intriguing way to choose to deploy your glamour boys. Do you have another glamour boys that I'm unaware of? Or do you just really believe that you have it to the point whereby... So we have to swing. Honestly, we have to blitzkrieg and swing. It's okay, I don't mind eating too. We really have to blitzkrieg and swing because... Oh, more viewers turning up. Excellent. Hello, folks. We are hanging out casually until we get a few people in and chatting, and then we'll jump into the meat of today's topic, which is of course balance patch, and then playing some games, having some fun, possibly throwing out some friendly invitations if anyone fancies one. So it should be pretty chilled. I am here to chill out after a long and relatively shitty week, so that's pretty much the plan. I really don't like you. However, I can do something about that, at least for now. At the moment, we are slogging it out against a very, very tenacious Britain deck in casual, which appears to be pretty much the Brit-US ramp ladder deck, just hanging around in casual for some reason. Reasons beyond my understanding. But I mean, I think everyone uses casual differently. I tend to use casual as a place to come and play random decks that, you know, nobody really uses. See how they get on and experiment with bizarre things, but seem to find a few people who, I guess, are testing out or getting used to more competitive decks, which is a thing. Right. The subject of the ladder, by the way, is to my engine. You can see very quickly how much attention I have not been paying to ladder, because this month was planned to be very, very different. So we might get a bonus stream in at some point where I actually try and get something approaching a half-decent number and climb a bit, just for my own efficacy after my plans for the month changed substantially. But for the moment, I've kind of been staying away from it. We will, obviously, as we're all of you are watching, if you got ideas, things you want to say, that sort of thing, swing them out. I'm going to run another game here, see if we can get a few more viewers before we dive in the next sort of 5-10 minutes. We'll dive into the main topic of the evening, which is going to be me talking about and ruminating on my opinions on the balance patch. Because I know that's a thing for everyone at the minute, and it's a thing for me. I mean, I've been nervous about it because it's a very unstable situation at the minute as a designer, granted in a different field. I would find it tough to work out how I wanted to approach this patch, which I will also talk about. So what do we have? Okay, discard. Sure. Right, chief. Who have we got? Oh, the names. The names are always entertaining. Alright, Hot Rats, what you got? Is this actually going to be discard? Is discard still a thing? I don't think so. I don't see it very much. I suppose we are in casual, so you can try all sorts of weird things, but I don't see it as particularly still a thing. Drawing? German Brit? Okay. I like it. I like different things. Different things are fun. I like different. Intrinsically. Tick-tock, tick-tock. What have we got? Card draw's never bad. I reset the Schutzen, but I don't know why I would. It's done its job already. Yeah, sure. I'll draw some cards because really, do with the help. Do this. Makes this a little better. Not amazing. We're in a interesting. This could turn very quickly depending on what this Germany deck is all about. Okay. This is definitely discard. Fine. That's a thing. Don't like that the face damage is going to cost me the card play. But the Schutzen you'd have to trade out, so the draw is better. Because I want to see more tools. Especially if the Schutzen doesn't trade out, because then we can Pathfinder it, which would be an amazing trade. In my head it is tilting. Okay, so we're thinking here. So we could Hellcat. We can Hellcat, we can go forward, so we can spend 5 to Hellcat. Puts it in range on the sack. Then we can drop. Yeah. Let's try some experimental jazz here. 2 in, and then next turn you're in Pathfinder range if you don't trade out. So, shout out in chat if you want to tell me how your day's going, how your week's been, how life is. Because, you know, it's always fun chatting to people. Okay, if I've got infinite setup time, or at least a substantial amount of setup time, we'll set up. We will put this in. Combat I like in front line, and I think we'll be seeing more. Again, we'll get to balance patch in a bit. I think we'll see more of this. The advantage of Greyhound being combined with Swag is a good thing. Sure. I'm just dropping all the big cards because at the moment there's nothing stopping me. Sometimes you can get into this interesting place where your opponent appears to just be stalling and you're waiting to see what their actual plan is. Okay, so Destruction, another air unit that's not doing fat a lot. Strat bombing, followed by Pathfinders. Kills a credit slot. Yeah, this is good. So this is going to seem weird, but we're going to do it anyway. So we're going to Strat bomb, which will deal 3 damage to HQ, deal 3 damage there, which brings that within range of our Pathfinders, which veterans the Pathfinders, and gives us a 6/6 in the front line, with the need for our opponent to put at least 2 units on board to have any actual value or to blitz us out. Leopold works, ish. I say ish because I'm not 100% convinced. But sure. So let's drop a half track, I suppose we do. And then we just wait and see, because you're going to blow something up, which is going to be a thing. Bada boom. I like Leopold. I don't know that I did. I know why you did it that way around. I totally do. Right, so we have no direct damage, which is disappointing. However, we have options. Turn this into an 8/8. We can turn this off and put another 6/6 behind it. Seems fair. As I am going entirely for board presence right now. Supply shortage. We're not. This is a very interesting. I'm not gonna lie. This is an interesting deck to play against. Panzer Grenadiers is fine. I like Panzer Grenadier. Panzer Grenadier works for me. You have to die. You have to die. There's just a whole thing about needing to remove Leopold because it's just going to keep plinking away, and I want to know what else you've got that's an actual end game. You've got all the removal in the world and lots of discard going on, but so far I'm not seeing a huge amount of actual end game, which is fine. Bank. Hey, Enrico, and yes, Brit or Soviet Finland control games. Crazy. I have played against some. I've experimented playing with some. Yeah, they crazy. They be eating your time. I think I played a game the other day, which I was on my Brit Soviet slow build OTK. I think. Oh, it might have been Brit US ramp, but either way, I was up against a Brit Finland deck, and it took time. It took a lot of time. How are you doing, by the way, Enrico? Well, I trust. Okay. You bounce your own Schutzen for reasons passing understanding, and then you probably beat me, but that's okay, because people are gathering, which means in about 5 minutes I can get into the actual chew of the thing before chilling out for a bit. I have strong views on the future of Finland, because I think Finland's very cool. I'm liking Finland. I want to see more from Finland, which means I'm slightly happy by the balance patch. My chat box misaligned, or is it just me? I feel like I'm cutting off the bottom of people's chat. I am that creative human who wants to change everything. Yes, there we go, we've blown up. This is remarkably predictable. That's good. I should be back with you in a second, when life also gets in the way. I don't normally spend a lot of time replying to stuff while streaming. There we go. Right. I'm going to crack one more game out in the hopes that I can actually ramp a win, and then we are going to switch screens and go start talking about balance patch stuff. So grab a drink, settle in, whatever else you're doing. Tell all your friends. Spread the word. The usual stuff. It's Germany. It's fine. I'll keep that because I have Berg's Pioneer. Gold Carl, thank you so much for the follow. That is extremely cool, and we are now actually counting down from 10 to Twitch affiliate status, which is super cool. I massively appreciate the follow from anyone and everyone. The community is what makes all of this worthwhile. It's what I'm in it for. I'm not a competitive player. I don't have the time to dedicate to full-on competitive play as much as I, would probably actually enjoy it. Just don't got the time nowadays. Right, so Red Devils and some artillery to the face, because we've been given a chance to get set up, which is surprising to me. This, of course, will probably be happening about a turn later in future. Yep, sure, but I got 2 damage out of you, so I'm happy. Oh! What? What? Okay. Sure. I think. It's a whole new world of confusion for me, as that I was not expecting to see a Soviet free drop in a German Soviet. Okay, I mean, I guess I presume then this is just jet ramp. I mean, I've used said token before when I haven't had anything else to play. One presumes this is going to be jet ramp. Fine. Make big tank bigger. Nah. Not where I wanted it, but I'll take it. Go for a 6-6, it's fine. And we're swinging. Do-do-do. War production. Into jet. You know you want to... No. War production into artillery, which probably means that... Oh, this is experimental jazz. So I tried this a while ago on a similar level, because these are an interesting... Hey, Henri. We are good. I assume Henri, because Grossmont suggests French. I am good. How are you? Yeah, I tried this a while ago with the idea that this is a unit worth including if you're doing the Soviet version, because if it discards, it deploys. When it's removed, it deploys. Makes sense then to include it in this, surely? Kind of. Sure. Ah, got you. Okay, Grossmont. So Henry Grossmont. Fair enough. In which case, the pop. I've not been in Wales for far too long. Um, and you are presumably located somewhere far more interesting. Do we just? Yeah, we do. We just win. Bada boom. Bit of a clear, and we are out of here. That, which, you know, takes me away with something to do. Right. It's coming up for 6 o'clock, so we are diving in, and everybody else who turns up a little bit late can join us later. So, bear with me whilst we change screen, and hopefully this will work. As we arrive on my desktop, but more importantly, on the January 2024 balance patch. Right, so before I dive into the changes, what's gone on, all of that gubbins, I'm going to start by talking a bit about me and then a bit about balance patches and why I have opinions that I generally am quite confident chewing out. So first of all, I do some consultation, editing work and design work for tabletop RPG stuff, and have done. I've also given people the hand with ideas and all sorts of other forms of geeky gaming goodness, from video games to live action role playing / mystery events and other stuff. So I have some idea about how you have to go about balancing things that work mechanically. I'm also a former playtester in various things, and I was a relatively good Magic player and spent some time talking to various judges and devs there too. Which is by way of saying I will have possibly sometimes quite noodly or overly thoughtful opinions on things like balance patch. In this case, I was a bit nervous. It's been, as I'm sure anyone watching this who's into cards is aware, it's been an interesting meta for a bit. There have been some pretty visceral responses in the community to certain cards, balances, and the domination of certain types of deck. Jet Prototype, we're looking at you. So this balance patch was always going to come, and I had concerns about overcorrection. I had real concerns about overcorrection and the fact that we might wind up going too far or doing something weird, and we'll get into whether that has or hasn't happened in a bit, because it's not interesting. But I'm not going to headline all of this, because you guys, well, you folks have all turned up to like see me and chat to me and see me doing stuff, so just have a discussion about it. I'll be interested to get other people's opinions as we go. I'm going to go through the various changes, what I think of them, and why I think. Raid! Cold Call has arrived, bringing people. I love the arrival of more people. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Go forth and continue living life well. We've got people arriving. No worries, real life is a thing. So we will start with a card I really like, So the fact that it's on this list is a thing that I'm bound to have an opinion on anyway. So this is 64 Panzer Grenadier. I wish they had put the original card up here as well, because I think it is relevant to understand that. But they didn't, and that's okay. We'll deal. So 64 Panzer Grenadier. The base card is a 2 cost, 1 op cost, 2/3 with Blitz, which becomes veteran if it starts its turn in your front line. So the old veteran, as noted here, as soon as it becomes veteran, you gain 3 additional credits. No credits, not credit slots, which is something we'll get into in a bit with levers and changes. New change: when this unit becomes veteran, gains 2 additional credits as opposed to 3. This is something that you see all the time in any economy or similarly driven, resource-driven game. It's curve smoothing. Smoothing this curve out is exactly what this is intended to do. As it stands, those 3 additional credits, you play, if you can get 64 Panzer Grenadier out on turn 1, which you can with war production and into the front line, then on turn 2, instead of having 3 credits, you have 5 credits, and there's a lot you can do with 5 credits and cards in hand on turn 2. There's significantly less that you can do, but not nothing, with 4 credits on the same turn. War production, spoilers if you haven't read the balance patch, war production has not been changed. War production being the 0 cost Soviet event order that gives you 2 additional credits for the turn and discards any other orders. This is fine. This is what I would expect. It's not a hot take change. This is just an expected change. It's curve smoothing, and it works. I think it's done quite well. It's light touch. It's clean. The card is still, I think, valid, competitive even. I don't think we will see it as much, but I think we will still see it in decks at upper levels that are interested in the extra acceleration, of which there are many. And I don't think this is not a heavy nerf, it's just a change. I like its balance change. I like balance changes. Jet prototype. So this is the big one. This is the one that has been creating all of the craziness. And when you read original Jet prototype, you get it 100%. So on the face of it, it's a 6 cost, 1/4 aircraft, fighter in fact. Nothing to note about. It's 0 op cost. That's a thing. The deployment effect is, of course, the thing. Remove the top 6 cards of your deck, gaining +1 attack for each discarded card that has an even cost. This can be insane, because this can give you a turn. In theory, on curve, it gives you a turn 6 7/4 fighter, which in and of itself is strong. In practice, combined with things like 64 Panzer Grenadier and war production or ramp cards from the US, you can get it out a lot earlier. And it can be devastating because it puts you on a clock. At 7 attack, this is a 3-turn clock when you play it. You have 3 turns to answer it, or you're done, unless you have HQ defense gain. Super strong card. It's dominated ladder, and it's been effective on ladder to the point that we've actually seen ladder accelerate to... So we are seeing some crazy high scores on ladder at the minute, especially up at the top, and a lot of it is down to the fact that this is a deck that can tear out and go very quickly, and we can go into the deck behind it. But a change was needed here. Hot topic. I don't like this change. I don't dislike it. I don't think it doesn't function. It does what they needed to do, which is find a way to lower Jet Prototype while theoretically not neutering it, because you still want it to be, ideally, whenever you balance change something like this, you want to leave a card playable, no matter what the community response, the player responses are, unless it is something truly, truly egregious. You want it to still have some value. So the change, as we say. So key point, now it's a 6 cost, 6 operation cost 5/4 fighter, which basically has the exact same text, but instead of increasing its attack, it's reducing its op cost. So if this works optimally, it becomes a 0 op cost 5/4 fighter. It's pretty good, actually. But I don't think in the current environment we're going to see a lot of play of this, because there is a big risk with this, because suppression is a mechanic at the minute. If this gets suppressed, and suppress continues to work the way I believe it does, because I'm pretty sure that when my 5th Rangers get suppressed, they go back to op cost 4. If this goes back to op cost 6 on suppression, you have a 6 op cost brick in your support line, which is bad. Also, the fact that the op cost is being reduced means that it is much, much less likely to see the hyper-optimized decks that we've seen with it, because people realise that, honestly, 5 or 6 damage on this, if you got it out soon enough, was good enough, considering that allowed you to include a few interesting odd-cost cards. Nashup and Berg's Pioneer being big ones. Both, by the way, credit acceleration to get you to this even faster. I think it does what they intended it to do. I think it does what the community's been asking for, which is going to stop Jet Prototype dominating ladder. I would have changed it differently. I still personally like, because of the lore and the thematics and history and theme in general of what jet prototypes were in the Second World War. I am a bit of a nerd. The idea of making this more gambly. And I think one of the ways to do that would have been to change the card itself to be odd cost. So that if you want to play this card, you have to have, and you put 3 of them in there. Hey, caller. How you doing? At 3 cost, you change this to like if you turn this to not rather an yes, indeed. There's so much nuance right now, Henry. I am right there with you. So we started, because you caught us just, we're not foreign. We started with the change to Panzer Grenadier, which I actually personally think is fine. As a designer myself, granted of tabletop RPGs and other stuff, not card games. I've only very fractionally dabbled in the understanding of the mathematics of card design. Yep, you are here for the whole conversation, which is really cool, because the more people who are here, and if you know anyone else who might be interested, please let them know. The more people here, the more interesting this gets, because this is the cool stuff for me. I love this. I love talking about this stuff, because it's part of what I do. I have a design mind for a reason. Yeah, the 64 Panzer Grenadier. So, it is and it isn't, is the answer when it comes to card games, and I will get to that as we noodle through some of the other changes. So Panzer Grenadier is a good example of where it does get a little bit on the line with it. It's true, they do rarely live. People will generally remove them. I think it's resource curve smoothing, and I personally think I understand why. I think it just brings the resource curve down just slightly to slow some of the pace of games, and I understand the design methodology behind that. Now, obvious declaration, I'm not a playtester for 1939. I'm not part of the internal community. I don't have contact with the designers. So this is just my opinion from the outside of someone who has a design brain. I personally think it's a fine change. I don't think it's a big change in either direction. I don't think they were the card in the biggest need of fixing right now, but I do understand just a little smoothing can go a long way. As we were just discussing, the Jet prototype change, I personally think would have been better to I have said before on many streams, actually, that I personally think you just change Jet prototype to a 7-cost card. Because if it's odd cost itself, then you enforce the theme of gambling. Thank you so much. Although I'm not casting aspersions on the testing team at all, but I appreciate that you appreciate the critical thinking I'm doing. It's kind of what I do. Yeah, I mean, everybody does, and actually removing biases as a designer and checking your ego at the door. I'm going to get to that in a minute. I have a supposition here. Checking your ego at the door is hard as a designer, and I think this change has a tiny feel about that. Hey, Outrider. Because this change to me feels like, but we really like this idea. It feels really cool, and we know it's not working. Can we just keep the same idea, but kind of a bit different, and then they just flip it so that it's affecting op cost? And honestly, I think it completely neuters the card. Not in the sense that we will never see it see play, but I do not think this is going to be a high-tier card that people are playing in high-tier decks anymore. Because with suppression around, unless you have specific answers and other responses, and yes, there are plenty of really interesting things you can do with it, but ultimately, if this gets hit, with suppress and goes back to being 6 op cost in the current meta with some decent. I apologise, caller. I really need to figure out how to turn that off on a more permanent basis, because this is a stream where people can do things. So, 100%, I would have done it differently. I think it might actually be Red Sun who agreed with me. I know someone did when I was on one of their streams, saying that I would just change this to an odd cost card and make you have to gamble more with it. Personal opinion, but it's what I do. Let's move on to a slightly less hot topic. Yeah, I agree. I think it would have just made it much more intriguing as a card. Swag. Okay. So first of all, J King said some really cool stuff about this in his YouTube video. Once you're done watching my stream, supporting me, liking, subscribing, all of that good stuff, because you are wonderful human beings, maybe even sending me a coffee via Ko-Fi, please do all of those wonderful things first, and check out my YouTube. Go check out his video, it's really cool. There are some things we don't agree on, but it's cool. Sure. Sorry, absolutely, Henry. So the theme for Jet Prototype, and theme is a part of this game, they do seem to try to design cards to fit specific themes. The Jet Prototype theme seems to have been based on the idea that it is a gamble. And it fits the historical context, because jet prototypes in the Second World War were a gamble. Spoilers, they didn't pay off. I'm going to flip back up while I'm talking about this so people don't get confused, because I'm currently answering Henry's question about jet prototype and why I think the odd cost change would have been a better fix. For me, as a designer, If you switch this to odd cost and just largely leave it the same otherwise, what you create is a forced increase in risk. So by definition, if you're wanting to use jet prototype heavily, you're going to want to include all three of them. That means when you play that first jet prototype, it's not just the fact that in those 6 cards you might see, and people who've played this on ladder will tell you that it hurts when you see it. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was Red Sun it happened to last night while I was watching their stream. Might have been Estimism. But anyway, if you see one or both of your jet prototypes go in the 6 cards, it hurts hard. It hurts even more hard if they're odd cost cards and reducing the effectiveness of the original one, which then forces you to think even harder about including Geberg's Pioneer, Nashub, and any other odd cost cards. But those are the two that I'm going to focus on because they are commonly included to accelerate jet prototypes deployment. If you make those accelerant cards more of a risk in reducing jet prototype is still relatively appealing because there is the chance that it can come out and be game changing, but the more you want to bank on that, the more you gamble, the more it might not work out for you. So for me as a design, that would feel better. Pretty much, yeah. So what you're creating is that instead of just, if you see one or of the other ones just pass out in those 6, which at the moment there's some very good discussion about understanding that a discarded card doesn't matter, is that you are also, each of those that you see, and any other odd cost card, is reducing its attack value, which means this is more likely to average, and it's going to go to Collar's comment, is more likely to bring the average attack value to 5 or 6, or about 5 point some odd. I did some maths about where I think it would fit for curve, with curve acceleration factored in, and you really believe me, you don't want to see that. It's messy maths on a piece of paper. But I did some, and it comes out to 5 point some odd, so you go down on it. Yep, 100% Collar's spot on. Right now, it is most of the time on par with certain other strong fighters that we see. With, unfortunately, in my opinion, a really hefty brick risk. Because getting this out, getting one swing with it, and then getting it suppressed and being stuck with it at 6 op cost will hurt hard, and you've had to... It's not a penalty, it's not hard penalty, you've had to take a soft penalty of 6 cards to play it. Which is why I don't think it's going to be competitive anymore. And Henry, you're completely welcome. Questions like that are what I live for. But that is my belief as to why I would have had a different change. 100% would have changed it differently. Swag. Did it need a change? Yeah, probably, maybe, if. Although I'm not convinced that badly. Honestly, the biggest issue with swag is credit acceleration, getting it out early, firing it off, and having it ruffle stomp you with 101st, and this just makes that happen slightly slower, in my opinion. It's a fine change. It shifts it to being more expensive, which if you are, and I have accepted this, and I had to learn this, and I'd learned this when I came in, because inherently I looked at this and I knew exactly what I wanted the fix to this card to be, which is to change its rarity. I do agree, Collar. I'm coming to that part. we mostly agree, I think. I'll get to why I think it's kind of fine, because I don't think it's as bad of an offender as some people do. There are a couple of things that really irritate. But yeah, when I learned that they don't change rarity, I immediately understood that I wasn't going to see the design brain in me was going to have to turn that off. Because the actual easy fix, the effective fix to this is to change rarity, but they don't, and that's fine. I get why, I understand they've... yeah. And you can when you think about a digital card game with no weird rarity stuff, and I was chatting with Redson about this last night, there's I totally understand why that would be really hard to implement, which is fine. Totally cool with it. Net result, they had to do something. There were a lot of things they could have done. Top of the list for me is in addition to some other stuff, is a change to the text on the card so that it reads, suppress units damaged by this unit. I will die on this hill. The worst part of this card, where it sits on curve, is that just pointing it at something suppresses it. Increasing cost, it is a fix-ish. I kind of don't think it's going to be enough of a fix, because I still think this is a strong card. I still think this is a strong card which we're going to see in play, and I also think we're going to see this in play in frontline decks, which I think will make a comeback with some of these changes. I certainly hope so. I like playing frontline. I certainly would be playing this in a US-German frontline deck. I'm not fussed. Like, the fact that it's full cost is not changing me. If you really wanted to make me change my mind, make the op cost 2. Make the op cost 2, and then I have to think about it more. Game becomes incredibly unbalanced. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a change which won't be the last change we will see to this card. 100%, I believe that we will probably see further changes. I don't think this card will be... Yep. Heavy armor is what Collar's talking about. And chat catches up with me about 1,000 miles an hour, but yeah, it's heavy armor. If something has heavy armor 1 and you change the text to suppress units damaged by this unit, my Avray, when I deploy it, just ruffles. Because... and it, by the way, fits theme, which I will harp on because I am a creative designer as well as a technical designer in tabletop RPG. Fits theme. You don't suppress a heavily armoured tank by firing artillery in its general direction. Enrico, I would suggest, because despite having good use case, heavy armour is not actually that strong, because there are things like this that laugh in its face. And I get that, it's fine. It's a change. It as I say, for me, it's a fine change in as much as I don't object to it. I don't think it's obliterated the card to ridiculousness or changed the card to be so overpowered that it ends the world. I don't think it's changed enough, which I suspect is where Collar was going earlier with the commentary on it's not enough of a change. I don't think it is. I think it needed more. But we shall see. I still think we're going to see a lot of this card. Let us roll further down. So, frozen assets. A lot of people didn't see this coming. I kind of get it. I actually think this is a decent change. Frozen assets is a very strong piece of utility removal with a bonus effect from salvage. It is, in effect, a 3-cost remove anything that you can, damage. Just catching up on Collar's chat. I think suppression was supposed to encourage straight up mid-range value cards, which is fine, but most of those cards and deck archetypes are infantry based, which have been proven to be too slow. Yep, absolutely. If you look at frontline, it's the reason that frontline runs Greyhound, and other stuff and tanks and Shermans and to try and support it. It's a reason why combined arms in Germany would run more of the 35 to got you. Hey, Coop. But frozen assets change. I'm fine with this. I don't have a problem with this at all. I kind of get it. I think there's just a bit too much of an upside to frozen assets as removal with salvage, and this just brings it down a little. I don't think it massively penalises Finland, and I think we are going to see, as changes keep tweaking in, Finland become better, which makes me happy because I'm quite excited to see what Finland can do. Personal thing. No, I agree. I don't think it's a problem. I think this is. I would not call this a major balance change. I would say this is a balance correction. This is just a little correction. Again, this is curve flattening. For those of you, I don't know how familiar. I'm going to assume some of you will be and some of you won't. But games with resource-based economies run on curves. You design to a curve. You have a mathematical projection of available resource to the active party, and you base your design around that mathematics. And I think this came out 3 point some odd when they calculated it against their expected curve, and I think their data, which we obviously can't see, is showing them that it is performing slightly above its expectation. At which point, this will then bring that curve down. That's all this is. It's curve smoothing. Almost any time you see a change like this and you don't understand or quite get why they've done it, there is probably an internal reason. Orders ruin the game at the moment. Is that just in the best of keeping them in the check? Yeah, no, I mean, orders have become a lot stronger. Not going to disagree. Really not. Speaking of orders, line of engagement. This might be one of my favourite changes. I like this. As a designer, I like this a lot. Because this isn't a change or a nerf, it's a correction. Hey Starry, how are you? So cool to see you on the stream. And now we bring the passion. I will ask that chat keeps it relatively polite and chilled, but I know there are going to be some passionate opinions. Lord knows I've got them. So cool to see you in here, Starry. Welcome aboard. And if you haven't already, liked, followed, all of that gubbins, go do it. Everyone, go do it. Because I will close in on 50 at some point, and then I can actually start doing cool stuff. And 1939 might send me some support so I can get some giveaway codes and stuff. But anyway, segue back to the thing I'm supposed to be talking about this evening. I like this as a designer. I look at this and go, this isn't a nerf. This isn't anything that actually communities necessarily even expect. It's the kind of thing that we do back a house in other games without anyone even noticing. It is literally an adjustment. This card wasn't quite working as intended. Now it guarantees you 2 1-drops for 2 credits. 1 in the front line if possible. I'm fine. I like it. I think it's good change. I think I when someone was rating changes, I think I gave this like a 10 out of 10. I think it's a perfectly good balance correction. I don't think there's a lot to talk about. I don't think line of engagement is breaking the world. I think it's just helping tokens as an archetype have some drive behind them. And we'll see where we go from there. Production order. Production order. I am going to have the moment where I don't know how it got released in the state that it was in. because the state it's in now is the state it should have been at release, and that's sometimes what correction is. This is a simple correction. You needed to do something because honestly, you pull this card, you play this card, you're only taking one of the choices, and that tells you that there's something wrong with design. But in this instance, they've corrected it in what I think is a very simple way. They've juggled things around a bit so that there is just a little bit more appeal to actually choosing between the two, and I think most people would agree that that's a change that was needed. I think the B-24J having Blitz was a bit crazy, if I'm honest. 7 damage Blitz unit that suppresses everything? Okay. I mean, yeah, you need 10 credits to activate it and all of that stuff, but really, I think it's a good fix. I think it's a solid change. I think it's a change that just made sense. I don't think anyone's going to be crying into their beers over it. I think it just alters it. Winter Regiment. This was an interesting one for me, and I'm still not 100% sure. I go backwards and forwards on this, because I think I get it, because in my experience, Winter Regiment is not immensely survivable after it salvages something, but I think what it's done is made this a good, solid trading card, which is what it's intended to be. This lets this trade effectively with a number of 4/4 cards. Collar. Yeah, I think if you were going to make a choice, that is where I'm coming to lean. The more I look at it, the more I think about the units that it is at its point in curve and play, trading with. I think it needed the extra health. I've seen people advocate, or some people advocate, for the fact that it might have needed to go as high as 6 health. I don't think that's true. But I do think taking it to 5, putting it as a 4/5, just makes it more effective as a trading card, and that's clearly what it's intended to be. It's intended to be a sort of salvage version of the 5th Rangers. It comes out, it blitzes, does a thing. I like it. I like it as a change. I think it's clean. As I say, I've been going back and forth on it for a while, which is actually usually a good sign with a change. Enrico catching up on chat. Truth that veteran smoke experience lost. Yep, suppression is strong. Is suppression bad? I don't know. I don't know that it's necessarily bad for the game or toxic in the quantities that it's currently available in, but I think it's something to be monitored with care, because I think suppression is an incredibly powerful mechanic. I think it's a cool mechanic. There's a document with my own idea, but yeah. I think it has created some really interesting moments, and we'll see. But suppression, I think we will watch grow and do its thing. We're back to Finland. Detached Battalion. I love this. I mean, I love this for so many different reasons, and most of them are feels reasons, because the history of Finland in the war and attacks and methods and kind of a tactical special forces style warfare is something I find cool, and I think it just takes what was already a decent card. I like Detached Battalion, I do. I think as a card it was fine. It's got a good deployment effect. It's its attack and defense are okay, but a bit risk heavy. Three's relatively easy. Smokescreen being added in there so that you can be a bit more picky about the time that you want to actually use this for its salvage effect. I'm fine with that. I like it. I think it fits theme. I mean, that is also true. I like, as much as I love the change for theme, I think that is probably fair. The fact that it's a special unit probably has some truth to limiting it as well. I think it's a decent card. I don't think this is going to turn Detached Battalion into a top tier card that is going to be seen in every Finlander deck ever. I just think it makes it an interesting card to play. And we need those too. We truly do. I mean, I think on the whole, it's an okay patch. I think they've addressed some stuff. I personally, as I have said, don't 100% agree with all of it, but I'm never going to. Nobody probably is. On the whole, I think they've actually had a relatively light touch. They did not land quite as hard and heavy as I thought they might. I think we might see, as I said, a revision to swag going forward. But on the whole, I think it's a patch that is very targeted. It's very focused. That they haven't gone broad. I know there are a number of cards that some people have brought up and thought, well, why weren't they in it? Maybe they should have looked at this. Maybe they should have looked at that. And there's a lot you can say about that. There totally is. But honestly, I think it's a solid patch. It feels to me like a designer's patch. Including my one issue with Jet Prototype and getting overtied to an idea rather than turning it on its head. But hey, it'll do what it'll do, and we're certainly going to find out. I mean, come January, whatever it is, 15th, 19th, somewhere in there, 18th. There we go, January 18th. We'll see when it lands. We'll see whether it changes things the way that we expect it to, and what comes out on the back of it. But there are good changes in here. There are some solid. There is more good than bad. For me personally. That doesn't mean that everybody's got to agree with me. In fact, I kind of love that we don't all agree on everything. But it feels like they've looked at resource curve and cards being played and started to understand at the moment. I think Jet Prototype has taught a very important lesson about the effectiveness of curve acceleration at the minute. And they've definitely smoothed the curve out in this, which I think is a sign of good design and good design intent. I certainly can't look at it and go, it feels like they're not doing anything. Of course I can pick it apart. I can pick anything apart. It's a bad habit of mine, which is why people ask me to help with design and stuff. It can be useful, but not always. But those are my thoughts. I will throw this video up on YouTube as well at some point as well after I'm done streaming, but it's been good. Hey Totalpan, how you doing? Oh, well, I trust. We've been chewing our way through the balance patch. People have endured, good lord, probably 40 minutes plus of me nattering on about the details of design. So those of you who are here listening to that is so cool. And I hope it's been interesting, informative, helpful, somehow valid as a thing. I have a very specific perspective on this. I could probably end... Yep, chilling on Saturday is such a good choice. It's what I'm about to go and do with cards. I'm about to take chat back to some actual games and see what's going on, and we'll see what's landing and what people fancy doing. I'm just wrapping up my thoughts, but while I'm doing so, if anybody in chat feels like they would enjoy a friendly game, please let me know. I'll quite happily throw out, and we can sort out some codes to run your decks up against and obliterate me horribly on some of the bizarre things that I'm trying at the minute. Although I've stepped away from my terrible... Hey, Sonny, awesome. We're going to screen switch because we're done with the balance patch for the minute. If you've missed it, that's all cool. We will be able to catch back up on YouTube and we'll get some more things going. Let us see if we can get to... Let's go back to live. We are back. Good lord, 12 people are still hanging out with me, despite my wittering, which is good. So, do you have anything in particular you would like to play against? Or are you just kind of like, hey, whatever, let's just see what lands? I enjoy a good... let's go with... Yep. So, Sunburst will work. Yep. There we go. It should be on screen, and I'll put it in chat as well. Cool. Right, let's see what we can throw at our good friend. I'm going to do this. So I am going to try, because we can. Let's roll out. This is my current attempt to keep Jaguar running. We'll see what fascinating thing Red Sun's got for us, and friendly games are always a bit fun because we get to chill out. And I think that's probably one of the most enjoyable parts of this. Right, let's see. Got the early. I'm fine with just one of you. This deck will shock nobody. It's pretty simple. It's just seeing how well Jaguar functions. Haven't done this in a while. So TK is good. Drop another one. And then we'll get it blown up, but that's traditional. If you are here, if you are new, if you have enjoyed these chats, these games and stuff like this, please follow on Twitch. It's the way that the algorithm lets me do the thing. I'm going to do this and then see how rapidly we respond, because we're now on a 2-turn clock. So, yep, there we go. Good shout. Always handy. Do we just carve up? I think we do. Don't think we do anything too shiny. And we'll take the extra point bang, because we're just on pressure. Jaguar, by the way, I still think relatively viable. I've won some on ladder with it. Just when you get to a certain point, it's just not as competitive as it used to be. Hey, Heinkel. That's nice, well played. That's all good. That was a bit of a blast. I'll clear you out. That was cool. Thanks, son. That was fun. Very quick, but fun. I'm now gonna go and see if this gets painfully ruffle stomped on ladder while we wait and see. If anyone else wants anything, give me a shout. 100% up for friendlies, chats, whatever else is going on. If there's anything people want to see played, let me know. And I'll try my best to put together it. I'm still not full collectioned, and I'm I'm unconcerned about my ranking right now. Very few people do. I still it's just I was I got some serious acceleration with that card draw. Like it's crazy fast. I mean, it's a fast deck, but it's not usually quite that fast. And if you get I think once you get the early running with the 101st, it's really tough to answer. Yeah, we're fine. We can keep these. But this deck either wins very quickly or just falls on its face. It 100%. This game has no middle range. This is almost certainly going to be some form of jet. We're almost certainly going to get absolutely massacred. But we're going to draw some cards and see if we can do anything about that. We just keep rolling and having fun with it. I'm so off meta with decks at the moment, it hurts. And we'll put the Yokosuka up because our enemy hasn't answered yet. So again, as you can see, Red Sun, this is the whole deal. We're done. This is not a terrible deck. I've been fiddling with it since actually Winter War dropped, and just like what do I want to do, or what works, what feels fun. So out of interest, chat, who's like I'm curious, especially to those of you who've been laddering. Like, are we still? Has anyone seen anything interesting on you or different, or are we still seeing mostly the usual suspects up there? So I have not been anywhere in the top 100 this month, which means that I've not seen kind of what's floating about up there. I'm curious. I don't need you. I'm happy to keep the rest of you. That's fine. Second 101st is not what I wanted to see, but that's okay. Second 101's not what we wanted to see, but that's okay. Yeah, so that will turn that into yeah, we can try it out. Is this frontline? That'd be so cool. It might be frontline. I like seeing frontline. Frontline makes me happy. It's, sure, yeah, we'll try it out. That's what we do. I kind of wish at this point, if we're going to be playing frontline, I really wish I could see my Signals Regiment. Just make the pain roll. Play this and see if it makes our opponent think differently. Weirdly, the swag in this is designed to distract some removal and maybe make your opponent think twice. It's not a major function of the deck. However, it does have the advantage of being able to do stuff like this. Just a quick answer to anything that's on the board. Aggro hasn't changed in years. Aggro decks are always going to be a thing in almost any game. Okay, that's kind of fine. So we'll roll forward, get some card draw because we really need it. Sendai Regiment's good. We're glad to see Sendai Regiment. Just keeps rolling. I like that. Okay. Tank spam. Fair enough. How do I want to answer that? Do we just send our regiment this off the board? We send our regiment it off and start hitting? I think we probably do, don't we? We do. We send our regiment you off the board and then we just start hitting things. We do this and drop the early. And give our opponent a moment to think about what they're doing and life choices. Nice. Big hit. Like it. Completely and utterly puts the artillery in the place you don't want it. So 3, 5. It's not great. Panzer's got, yeah, so we need to get value out of the Panzer. So we'll basically make hay by throwing face damage and seeing if we can just get some traction and acceleration going. Yep, fine. Makes sense. That's fine because we can actually trade out with 101 will let us trade out, which is good. Shinotto lets us also trade out. And then we can put the early in. Not really want to do that yet though. Let's do this differently. Let's experimental jazz time. Let's trade this out in a way our opponent probably isn't expecting. Because we don't have an answer to the guard right now. Okay. That's pretty cool. I feel that. So we'll push forward on principle. Push purely and entirely because we need card draw. We need card draw badly because we do not have anything useful. Yeah, we're just gonna take the 3 while we can because then it makes the trade out a little bit more interesting. This game has run now long enough that this is where this deck is much less comfortable. Unsurprisingly for an aggro deck, going this long just isn't where we want to be. It's not what we want to be doing. Right then. I think. It's not efficient, but it will do. Right. Don't have the credits. That was a bad mistake there. That was not smart. That was bad counting. Terrible counting, in fact. Which is less good. I did not count well. Hi Nero, how you doing, man? What's up at the minute is misplays and playing really bad ideas on ladder. Yeah, 100%. It's been good. I am happy to actually have a streaming schedule now. It will probably get added to. I'm probably, because my world exploded this week in a way that I wasn't overly chuffed about, and so my plans for this month kind of went kabloom, which means I've got way more time than I thought I was going to have. So you might see me throw up some more streams. I might start streaming on possibly a Tuesday evening. I don't know yet. Depends on how much I get thrown around. I might also do some UK morning streams and see if I can catch different people in it as I continue to look for the last 10 followers to get me ticked over the line. We've just been chewing the fat for these lovely humans have endured me chewing the fat over game design for interminably large numbers of hours. Now about 40 odd minutes of me nattering, which will get itself on YouTube soon. I like this. This is not going well. It's a sad day. I mean, you're not useful for anything else anymore. It's just a sad day. This game went long on a very sweet. Yep, I shall keep my eyes open. I have Discord open somewhere. I will take a look in a moment. I have a mail. Which good. Hey, sweet, cool. I'll take a look at that in a bit. But yes, I think people have mostly gotten my general stuff. I'm sure you can go back and catch over it, but my general opinions on the patch being decent, with some stuff in it that I don't necessarily agree with, but I think it's working as intended. This is done. This one is done, though. This is ladder loss. If I actually want to gain purchase on ladder, I'm going to have to start running my jet deck while it's still valid. But I'm not in that headspace right now. So, as I say, if anybody else wants friendlies, give me a shout. I'm going to hang for a little bit, play a couple more games, and then we're probably going to go raid Red Sun, who has gone live a bit ago as well, which is also cool. I'm going to... What have I got that would be interesting to try out? So let's go into casual and try this really, really janky Brit-Finland deck, because who doesn't like a bit of weird jank? So this is me trying to make sort of a Brit-Fin control deck, kind of on a budget. Because I really want to be able to lean into Finland, because I like the mechanics they've got, I like the themes that they've got. I just want to lean in a bit more, and I enjoy that a lot. So I'll go play some interesting jank. What we got? Ooh. Ugh. It's an opening hand that says we don't like you this evening, but that's much better. We're going to see some order spam and general control. Look! Production order. Can't wait for your change to kick in. I mean, it doesn't remove you, it just means I'm going to see less of you. More cards, good cards. More health, good health. Frozen assets, not really valid. More cards, good cards. Let's see what we've got. We're not quite at the edge yet, and then we'll get something to play orders down. Wellington's coming down, which is nice, which is one of the things this deck is designed to do, is accelerate this out of our hand, because I think it's cool. Okay. Splendid. Well done. I have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, unless you're carrying push OTK and you've... I don't think I have. I will look that up. I am still trying to get myself more followed up and hooked up with all the different streamers that are out there. I think it's extremely cool how many we have. I'm struggling to keep up. Plus, there are some streams that I know are out there that are just at times I can't do, because, you know, sleep and real life is a thing. And I am, for those who aren't familiar, a disabled human. So sleep becomes a bigger thing for me at times. Yeah, why not? At some point they'll do something, maybe. Either that or we are just racing for the... If we are racing for the Commonwealth, it's not going to go well for them. Oh, nice. like you. Let's get you in place. Weird, but I have my reasons. So next turn, we might be able to accelerate the Sissia Sato. We shall see. Depends on whether our opponent's got a solid answer. If our opponent knows what they're doing, and they do, that's good. It's absolutely fine. Right? I like that card. I'll have it, please. I'll have a much less good version of it, but I'll have it, and now I've just got bodies to throw around. I think it's... Thank you to the new follower who I missed. That is extremely cool. I appreciate you immensely. I appreciate all of you immensely. It's the coolest thing in the world that people watch, listen to, and presumably in some way actually enjoy my gubbins. Okay. This is just going to get janky and silly very quickly. I like it. I'm in my happy place. We're drawing. Are we just digging for tools? Awesome, thank you. It's all good. Plank, because it's fun. Then, I mean, yeah, I mean, we're here to do some fun things, right? We'll have you. Zero cost Wellington, which is always nice. We can trade out here. This, if you have not noticed, there's nothing remotely competitive about this deck. This deck I play because it's fun, and I am in chill out mode at the moment. I'm in full blown chill out mode. Stress management's a thing. Sure. Okay. Please do continue to fill your hand, because it is my intent to throw a bunch of stuff back into it in a minute. Ooh. I mean, you. Yeah. Sure. I don't think. No, I don't. I don't think. I think we'll do that. I don't think we want to see that, do we? We don't need that, do we? No, chat. I don't think we need that at all. I think I'm quite happy to just chisel about playing around until we can get to Commonwealth range, which is a thing. Let's see where we land. This is far from over. So Wellington here is really important because we have 0-3, which lets us drop Wellington and puts our opponent squarely. Well, not now. So okay, we need to get 2 uses out of Wellington, so we will do so. Stage 1. As much as I don't like spending, I want the space. I'm not feeling the urge to massively trade out here, but I'll remove you. Oh, you're being guarded. I keep forgetting about guard. No, we'll just let you do the hard work, because we're not really in a position where we're worried about it. Because my intent is to just keep chipping you. tactically right now in my head, I'm waiting to see if our opponent's got enough HQ defense gain to get really aggressive. Sure. Because our opponent needs to recognise how close they are to Commonwealth range. This is one answer, is to start trying to get aggressive and get to us. Although, honestly, I think you needed to, if that was your plan, I think you needed to do it a lot earlier. And this 0-4 body is so useful to me right now. Okay, so Sincerely Yours is fine. We are unconcerned about Sincerely Yours. We are aware that our opponent is in specific range, but that's okay. So let's start ticking some pain down on our opponent. Let's just start chiseling away, because there's not a lot of benefit to not right now, because this is going to put us in the position whereby our opponent really, really needs to find an answer now. So they can get forward and drop us under Commonwealth, which they absolutely should do. Our opponent right now should do this and swing for HQ. They should not do that. Unless they have another way of dealing damage to HQ, that is not what they wanted to do. Coastal Gun's fine. Isn't helping you. Okay. Sure. How do we want to do this? Do we Sincerely Yours? Well, I think we Black Watch. We Sincerely Yours. Because then we've got things like Kitty Hawk, which is fine. Frozen Assets doesn't help us right now because we can't get past heavy armor, which is nice. However, we are in position to... Our opponent is not going to be able to do anything with that. So we're going to do this. And we'll plink up here. And attempt to show our opponent something that isn't actually our main tactic. But our opponent may be about to seriously regret their decision to not. So our opponent needed to drop us under 30 health on their last 30 HQ defense, I should say, on our last turn. Something to, if you play a lot and see this, it's being conscious of when your opponent has good range on. Sure. But that's a good play. That's a very strong play. That Coastal Gun needs dealing with. We will deal with it. Nice. That's a really good use of supply priorities. I like that quite a lot. Now I'm thinking, do I just... So the Glamour Boys is just a good play right now, because this has become a more considered job. So we can do 2 damage. Coastal Gun. I think we want to do 2 damage to the Coastal Gun. Then I think we want to bomb the Coastal Gun. Then we're going to activate this, because our opponent is over 30 health. So I want to know if this is where our opponent thinks they can get us well and truly under 30 out of our own Commonwealth range. Nope. Okay, that's a shame, actually. I would have enjoyed that immensely. We are going to blow up the artillery this turn, unless you clear us out. And I don't see how you can clear out both of my bombers. At worst, I pay 5 credits to remove the incredibly irritating artillery, and we are back to a position where my money would be on me, not you. But as I say, we shall see. Sure. Largely irrelevant, but okay. Okay. That's handy. So we've got the albacore as well, which makes this so much easier. So we can pin something, which is good. We can frozen assets the Glamour Boys, which is just awesome, frankly. So, stage 1, we need to remove you. Plink. Blink. Blink. We're done with you. That's one form of annoyance gone. Where do we want to go? Doesn't really matter at the moment. That's fine. Well, like you, so you're going to swing hard. Very, very hard, but that's okay. Because it's not going to... So the question now is, do you swing hard or do you go for the throat? I would swing hard and try and remove the units that I've got on board. Unless you've got a supply shortage, in which case you're going to play that, which would be interesting. And yes, my internal monologue is my external monologue at the minute in an attempt to be useful. This is what I am actually thinking is what I would do in my opponent's place. That was on my list. Having a Fury unit up front is really, really solid. I would love to see Monsoon Rot right now. Yes, that's fine. You can get me below range for the thing that you're worried about, but you wouldn't be worried about it. I want to see you chip me too within range. Oh! Another one. Fair enough. Should have expected that. Right. So the key here is sacking this in the most efficient way. That'll do. Oxen Box, 2 damage to enemy unit would give us salvage, but we have 3 really bad bombers right now. Detached battalion's not going to help us. So we want to probably play frozen assets. Yeah, well, frozen asset. Nope, we'll get ultra'd, that's fine. So we'll definitely hold up Sisu, and then we'll show willing. So this will go off, and then I'm waiting for a Commonwealth to go off. But I think this opponent is smart enough to know not to do that. Commonwealth against Finns, always dangerous. There's a clip on Twitch of me getting the reverse Commonwealth, which was one of the most fun things I've ever done on stream. Shame. Was nowhere near as good as I was hoping, but we had to take a gamble, because it was never going to be a win if we didn't. Okie dokie, so we can get health back, but the bombers are not going to be enough. I don't know. If nothing else, we can be stubborn and irritating. So we can start by bombing the ever-loving life out of these guys, which removes 1 unit. Our opponent's actually being incredibly smart in that they are not tearing down the bombers, which would actually give us more space to play, which I approve of. Nero, if you're still hanging out in chat, by the way, I very much enjoyed 10 minutes, literally before I went streaming, I was catching your latest YouTube video. I enjoyed. It's good content. If folks here want to, go check him out. I'll post a link at the end. This is... You know me, I love anything that gets a little bit analytical. Plus, you have a very relaxing voice. It's very chilled. I like it. So, 1, 2, and we know you're dead. That's fine. So we go over here, and we just keep chipping away. Oh, I forgot to fire the stupidly overpriced bomber. That would have been one less point of damage I'd have taken. Shame. Come on, kids. There we go. Explosive death. Let's see how far into the depths I have plunged. Though that was a casual game. I am saying 1,989. This is one of the worst scores I've posted in a while, and yet at the same time, 2,800 bubbles. You are just chewing the world with jet. Bubbles is basically just firing jets into the universe. It's a thing that the bubbles is just doing. Thanks, man. Huge nerd, so, you know, someone throw this in front of me, and I was like, yeah, but I have that, and I'm wearing a Deadpool riding a unicorn t-shirt underneath it, which you're not going to be. Have I been? I wouldn't say if I had been. Where are we at? So, a bit of entertainment. Right. Let's see if this works. Why can't you have a name I can actually spell? So we are going to go, and I think we're going to go catch up with Red Sun in a sec, because I want to see how things are going with them. And I am croaky voiced, because I did a lot of talking this stream when we were talking about stuff. So let's see what happens. Is this going to let us... Nope. Okay. Working. Do I need to do that via the actual Twitch interface? Someone tell me why this isn't. Someone has got to know why that didn't work. Why, oh why? Oh, because I'm typing command rather than slash. Good lord. No, yes. Let us go and see if we can make some friends. And launch.